Hello everyone. Today I want to share with you how you can build the foundation for you to make $10,000 weeks, months, and days in your business. So this is the first part of a two-part video, where the second one I'm going to show you exactly how to do the 10K weeks, months, and days. But in this one, we're going to focus on the foundation because the foundations is very important. Okay, so here we go. There's 4 main steps. And I'm just gonna get right into it. If you don't know who I am, John Patrick Muller, former Buddhist monk, and I've built a 10K per month, per week, and per day business. Although, of course, I'm not making 10K every single day. Just occasionally I'll have 10K days, but also 10K weeks and 10K months. And I've helped many other people to do the same. So in this video, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing that you need in your foundation is presence. You need to have some sort of online presence. Now, of course, the preparation for this is to have a sense of personal presence. You need to be an expert in what you do. You need to have experience. You need to have wisdom. You need to have some embodied, assets, some good things on the inside that you can share, right? It could be a skill set. It could be natural gifts. It could be both. But essentially, of course, you need to have a personal sense of presence. Meaning, you could walk into a room and people would acknowledge you and your gifts in a certain thing, in a certain way. If you do not have this in the real world, it is a lot harder to set up online because you're going to feel like you're faking it, right? A lot of the people who do the best online were successful before they went online. Does that make sense? If you want to have success in the online world, you need to have success in the real world first, right? Because the real world is the online world. The online world isn't really anything except for a place for you to connect with people so that you can have real world experiences, right? No one wants to do online business or to have an online transformation. You want to have real transformation. It has to affect your real life. And if you aren't embodied in your real life, then you're not going to help people online either, right? And if you're not able to have a presence in real life, then you're going to feel like inauthentic, right? A fraud if you try to set up an online presence that is going to help you, right? So essentially what we need is an online presence that creates a perception of us for who we really are. That's really what we need, right? Sometimes we say, to create the perception of you as an expert. I would even talk about 3 things. You're an enthusiastic, empathic expert. That's the main presence that we need to set up. And what that means is online, we need to start to demonstrate that you are an enthusiastic, empathic expert. An expert means that your time to value density is stronger and higher than that of most people, meaning you have more value per unit time for a certain area. For example, a plumber. A plumber is an expert at that because the value they can provide per unit time is exponentially greater than the average person, right? If you were to hire me to be a plumber for you, it would take me a lot longer and I'd make a lot more mistakes before I could finally solve the thing. Whereas a plumber, you might pay more for them, hopefully, right? But because they have a lot of value over that they've put into themselves over time, now they can help you with a lot of value in a very short time. And so you kind of pay them to fix it fast. Whereas a normal person could fix it. It would just take them a long time, right? Building a house is the same thing. Yeah, you could figure out how to build a house. If I took 20 years, I could learn how to build houses really well, right? If I took a couple years or maybe 6 months of really focused effort and a lot of trial and error, it would be expensive and it would take time for me to learn that, right? So you'd be paying me for that. But an expert has already put in that time and they've become an expert at delivering value in less time. And so that's what we need to be able to do, is provide value in less time. If you can provide value in the area of relationships or health or spiritual growth, or marketing, or making money, or sales, or setting up funnels, or advertising, or improving confidence on camera, or getting your business to be aligned, or having peace after divorce, or whatever, right? If you have a lot of value that you've collected over time in that area and you've practiced being able to deliver that value in less time, then you're an expert, because you could walk into a room and if somebody in that room had that problem, hopefully your presence would start to indicate that you are the expert. You have a density of time, of value per unit time, which creates a funnel towards you. Think about gravity, right? Gravity is where heavy objects, dense objects that are dense, rest on top of the fabric of space-time, like the sun. It is very dense and it rests upon this flat fabric like a bowling ball on a mattress, okay? And it causes the fabric of space-time to bend in. And that's actually what gravity is, according to scientists, right? And so in business, we always talk about people coming to you. You want people to come to you. The way you do that is you establish that you are an expert, right? And what is an expert? It means you have a lot of value. You have a density of value per unit time and space, which means that it's dense, right? What is density? It means that there's a lot of mass per unit space, right? Something that's dense in a very small amount of space, it has more density, it's more mass, it's heavier, right? Whereas something else has more spread out, which might even make it float like a boat, right? I hope that this metaphysics of this isn't confusing you, but you're an expert, right? So you have density of value per unit time and space, and that helps people to come to you like gravity. That is essentially the effect that you want to create online with your presence. Now, again, it's really helpful to be acknowledged in the real world of this, and then to just use the online world to showcase what's already there. That's what marketing is, really. It's just, you're just becoming more transparent about the stuff that's already there. And sometimes online, you have to set up special things in order to really demonstrate the value so that people can perceive it, right? So that's marketing, is really just creating a perception of value of you as an expert in this case, because you, in your business, you're the expert, you are the business, right? You are the brand, you are the value. And so people need to see it. So that's part of what presence is. Okay, so in my opinion, very helpful if you're creating a foundation for this, to begin by maybe setting up some in-person experiences, or just improving your in-person network, and see if you can create that perception of you as an expert in person. And then you'll feel authentic when you duplicate that online, right? A lot of people feel inauthentic when they do what they're supposed to do online, because they haven't shown themselves in person yet as that thing. And they might feel like, oh, the online world is more exaggerated than what I really am. You don't want to feel like that, right? You want to feel like the online world is attempting to do justice to how great you really are. And that's how you set up your presence, okay? So that's the first step. And you want to pick one social media platform that you're going to go all in on and get good at, right? In the beginning, you sort of just pick one. A lot of people try to do a lot of things, and I'm not going to say that that's wrong or something, but what I will say is that the clients who I've worked with have the most success when they pick one thing, and that, that thing has been Facebook for my clients, right? I show them how to use Facebook. That's my personal thing up until this point, although at this stage of my career, I'm setting up multiple channels, and so I will teach multiple channels soon. But what I found is that focusing on one at a time allows us to get good at that one. And what we start doing is realizing that we're not working with the platform so much as we're working with people on the platform, right? A lot of people will try to do the fancy tricks for the platform, and that's good. You need to learn the platform, and you also need to connect authentically to the people on that platform. And you need to be able to have awareness of them so that you can adjust your content, adjust your approach according to them and their needs. That's part of building an audience, is you tune into them and adjust the type of content you create or the type of offers you put out based on what they want and what they need. Because at the end of the day, you're in business, right? Business is about serving people and not just about creating stuff, right? If you just want to create stuff, then you're really more of an artist than you are an entrepreneur, which is fine. It's just a different game, right? Now, I really recommend being a little bit of an artist and an entrepreneur. When it comes to creating our free content, we need to give ourselves permission to create beautiful things that we believe in, that we feel are so beautiful that they deserve to exist, right? Creating some content and just putting it out there, being the artist. The artist isn't judging themselves. They put it out in the raw form or they edit it first. Either way, they're putting out artwork, things that are beautiful, things that deserve to exist, right? There's some balance of us just putting out beautiful things that we believe in without worrying too much about what does the audience want, because the audience does adjust themselves, right? If you put out the stuff that you really believe in, it'll attract the people who resonate with you and repel those who don't, and then you'll be left with a real audience. And then at that time, you can tune into them and start finding out, what do they want? What do they need? What do they respond to? What do they like? Now that you know that they're the right people, now you can start asking questions and creating stuff that they want and that they need and that they request. Okay, so all this is part of presence. If you're on Facebook, you need to use Facebook groups. If you're on Instagram, you need to use obviously hashtags, reels, that kind of thing. Most platforms allow you to go live. You need to go live for sure. If you're on YouTube, obviously there's certain ways of doing YouTube. Being consistent for 6 months in a row is part of YouTube growth. Having really good thumbnails is part of YouTube, and getting people to watch a lot of your content is part of YouTube, right? YouTube's all about getting more watch time and getting clicks, right? The initial click, and then you got the hook in the first 15 seconds, and then you just want to maximize how long they stay on the video. Those are the three main things that you focus on YouTube, and the way you do that is having really good thumbnails, telling them in the first 15 seconds what the video is going to be about, and then delivering it in a way that is exciting and engaging and not boring, and that's really valuable. And then that's how you work with the audience. But how you work with the platform is that you have to be consistent. You have to upload at least once a week, every week. This is what I'm learning, right? You need to be consistent in how you upload, because it teaches the platform that you're going to be there the next week, the next week, the next week, and then they feel more comfortable showing your stuff. Okay? So be consistent for 6 months in YouTube, and have really good thumbnails, have good hooks, have good content. Okay. So in general, you need to pick a platform and be really present on it. And then you want to try to build a community inside that platform, or really inside that platform, you're building a community. And then that's really what presence refers to, is showcasing your gifts, showcasing your presence, your authority on the platform, building community on the platform. Okay, that's the first step. The second step here is alignment, right? We need to be aligned with the right business for us. Yes, you are an expert. Yes, you are multifaceted, you're multi-gifted, but we kind of need to pick something to offer. I believe that presence is the first step, because we just need to get stuff out there. Like, we don't even know what's in us sometimes until we start putting it out there. We get an audience around us. At that point, then we start thinking about, what is the actual business that I'm going to be in? It's essentially like, what am I going to monetize here? I'm already giving away free stuff. I'm already helping people. I'm already having relationships with this audience. What do I monetize next? That's an important question. And for the record, I don't think business coaches know the answer to that. I think that the audience, I think that the intersection between you and the audience and some sort of divine force is what knows the answer to that. And that you can get coaches and mentors to help you interpret those things, for sure. You can, that is important. But essentially, like, the audience knows best, right? And so building an audience first I think is one of the most important steps. And I do believe that people who are successful do this first. I believe that. Okay? Especially if you're doing organic, which means that you're going to build it without a big budget. Some people have a really big budget and then they go all in on advertising, paid ads, and that's fine. And I think that's a different way. Then you're kind of paying for that data of what the people want because you're doing a lot of testing within that. But if you're going to do it organically, you're kind of putting in some time first instead of money. That's sort of that's your input. Instead of putting in money, you're putting in time. And then that is what's going to allow you to learn, to give value, to build relationships, and to get a sense of what people really want. And then there's some exercises that you can do. Okay, I have a couple videos that I can give you. If you just opt in below this video, there'll be like a link. I'll give you these for free. Okay, my clients have paid me for these. Some people pay $10K for these videos. Some people paid to watch them live, but I'm gonna give you them for free because I wanna help you. Okay, but they're 2 videos that are really helpful for aligning yourself into the right business. One is a meditation and one's a workshop. Okay, and by doing them, essentially what we do is we're going to ask ourselves, what are my real gifts? What am I here on earth to do? What am I supposed to do, right? What are my gifts? And who am I supposed to help with my gifts? Those questions are important for getting our direction in life in general, like our soul's purpose. What is our highest calling in our life? That question is more important than what you're supposed to do in business. But what I do is I like to build a business based on this. Because what I find for spiritual, sensitive, heart-centered people, if our soul's calling is pulling us in this direction and our business is pulling us in this direction, we're going to feel split. And we're going to feel that if we put energy towards our business, then we neglect our highest calling. And if we put energy towards our highest calling, we neglect our business. And for most of us spiritual people, we're going to choose our highest calling. And that means we neglect our business, which means you learn about business and you always feel like you're dragging your feet because people tell you do this, and you're not doing it. So you're like, oh, I'm a procrastinator. It's only the only problem is that we've chosen a business that's not in line with our highest calling. We've chosen it in the wrong direction. We need to make sure that they're aligned. We need to have our business be the vehicle for us to fulfill our highest calling, our soul's purpose. That's the key that I've done and that I've helped my clients with. You want to make sure your business is a vehicle for your highest calling, which means the more energy you put into your business, the more you progress spiritually. The more you progress spiritually, the more your business grows. That's how this works. And the key is getting them to line up. Okay? We want to get them to line up to each other. Okay, so please download these meditations or whatever. You can click and get them for free below. And so that's all I'll say about that for now. But just so you know, it's extremely important that you have this right, or else you will lose energy. And by getting it right, you will open up limitless energy for your business, which is required. It's what we really want, actually. It's what we really want, and it will make them work better too. Okay, so that is the second step of getting the alignment of what our right business is going to be, what we're going to monetize. Okay, and then we want to do some leadership. We need to learn leadership. Now, leadership in this context means that we have the ability to lead groups of people, right? You can lead workshops, you can lead seminars, you can lead an audience, you can be the leader of a group of people. Because in your business, you're going to be leading a group, right? And you're going to be inviting these groups of people who are like a free audience to join paid workshops, paid events, paid challenges, and to hop on calls. You're going to need to lead people into other things. And then at some point, you're going to have to lead them into buying your stuff. Whether you're doing that in a group format or a one-to-one format, leadership is required, okay? But in the next video, when I go over like the actual steps, I'm going to talk about leadership in terms of one-to-one sales, okay? But here, I'm just talking about leading groups of people. And you can call this group sales, you can call it marketing, you can call it lots of things. But essentially, you're going to be inviting people to live events. I feel having live group events is a really important part of being a community leader. In fact, can you really say that there's a community if there's not a live event? Live events are what make community a thing, aren't they? Live events become the central hub, the central focus for a community. I mean, I'm open to being challenged here. Think about any community that you've ever thought of: tribes, like music communities, local communities. There's live events that make them feel like a community. And so you need to set up live events in order for your community to feel like they're part of a community. If not, they're just part of an algorithm, right? If they really want to feel personal, like they're in a community, set up a live event. And we need to develop the leadership skills that get people into a live event and that can host live events well. Now there's 2 or 3 main things that happen during these live events. We need to inspire people. We need to educate people, and then we need to invite them into paid programs, right? So every live event for us as an entrepreneur has to involve inspiring them, because a lot of people are at the stage of transformation where they just need to be inspired, right? They kind of want the results, they kind of don't, they kind of are they're blah about it, they're dull, they just lost enthusiasm, and a lot of times they don't believe it's possible. They want the results, they just don't believe. They don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in their ability, they don't believe the results are possible, they don't believe someone like them can have it, blah, 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 right? There's a lack of belief, a lack of faith. And so faith and inspiration are basically the same thing. You need to inspire them to ignite their faith so that they believe in themselves, they believe in the vision, they believe that they can do it, they believe that it's possible, that with support, with community, with education, with steps, with guidance, with support, they can do it, right? And so your event is going to be inspiring them, and then you want to educate them too. You want them to leave learning some new things, right? It's not just inspirational. They really want to walk away learning at least some fundamental blueprint steps, some big picture steps. They need to kind of know what the path is, how it works, what some of the steps are. Maybe you can't give them the solution on a silver platter in a live event, but you can at least give them some pieces of the solution and then teach them what the other steps are so that they can enroll into a program knowing what they're getting. Okay? So education is a big part of live events too. And a lot of times entrepreneurs who are heart-centered and etc. have the challenge where they tell me that the more they educate their clients, the less people want to work with them, right? They're like, I give away this free value and then people don't want to work with me anymore. It's a fear that people have, and also it's an experience that people have. They do a really great event, people love it, and nobody buys, right? And they have really great content, everyone loves it, and no one buys. And they're just like, oh, I don't, it feels good as a humanitarian, but then when it comes time to build their business and to monetize and to grow their business, they have a fear of giving too much value because they think it will discourage buyers. And that is a very real challenge, and it is common. It's a very common challenge for authentic experts to have. And so what I want to share with you is that there is absolutely a way of providing world-class education that makes people want to work with you more and more and more the more you give them, right? Now, there's a certain way of doing it though. Okay, inspiration is a part of that, but education is a part of it too. You want to have both of these things together, and by doing it the right way, people are going to want to work with you more the more they learn from you. Okay, and so that has been the experience of some of my clients. I can tell a story right now of someone who was working with 0 clients, did a workshop, everyone loved it, nobody bought, then she went to me for help. I helped her to make some tweaks. She did it again, and 5 people bought. Her high ticket thing, she made $21,000 in that month, 15 of which was cash. That was her first month in my one-to-one program. Okay, now she was talented and blah, blah, blah. This doesn't happen to everybody, but it can happen. And the point of this story is that she made a couple tweaks and made her live event congruent with sales, and then people bought, okay? And that's an important step. So it's very possible to deliver transformation and have people buy at the same time. I've done it many times. You can do it too. I'd love to show you how. And if you want to see my version of a 30-minute presentation that gets people to buy when they watch it, you can click below. I'll put a link to that too. And that's my presentation. And you'll see that through watching it, you get value, but you want to buy it the more you watch. I can help you create that too if you're interested. Just saying. Okay. So the next thing after the alignment, is leadership. So we're talking about leadership. The third, so I said there's inspiration, education. The last part is invitation. We want to learn to invite people into the next step, right? We need to get them excited for what the next step is. Sometimes you use education and inspiration to show them what that is, and then they want it, okay? That's it. That's really important. I would love to show you this, and that is leadership as a preparation for having 10K weeks, months, and days. The fourth step is messaging. We want to construct our message so that it is consistent, congruent, and that we have certain truths that we give again and again that point people towards our offers. So messaging is kind of a big arrow towards the offer. It's essentially a sign, right? You could walk down the street and you could see a sign that has an arrow on the sign. And it could just have a couple words above the sign, and it's pointing towards McDonald's or the coffee shop or Dunkin' Donuts, right? That's a billboard, right? But what is it? It's messaging. It's a message, and it is literally a sign with an arrow pointing towards the offer. That is what we do too, right? That is what we do in the marketing world. Is we construct a message that has a headline, and it essentially acts as a big old arrow that points people in the direction of the stuff that we're doing. Now, there's two types of messaging, really. There's front end and back end messaging. The back end messaging is what gets people who are interested gets people in our audience to be really interested in working with us and even interested in buying. So the messaging that you would deliver during one of your free events or live events is the back end messaging. When you have a call, and the parts of the call that you get to talk to somebody, that's your messaging. It's words that act as an arrow to our program, to the paid offer. That's called back-end messaging because it sells the back-end offer. It acts as a sign for the back-end offer, the back-end offer being your core main monetized offer. The front-end messaging is what gets people into the front-end offer. A front-end offer would be like a workshop, a challenge, a free video, a pre-recorded masterclass, an audio, something like this, right? Some sort of class, even a video such as this could potentially act as a front-end offer, right? I could throw this on a web page and have people, on social media say, yes, I want to learn the foundations of 10K weeks, months, and days, and I could have them opt in. I could have them watch this video. I could even charge, right? I could charge, a couple of dollars for this video or whatever, 10, 20 bucks or something. I could charge for this video if I wanted to, right? Have people at least opt in and give me their email address in order to watch it. And then that's my front end offer. Then from the front end offer, I'm giving the messaging for the back end offer. But anything that gets them into the front end offer originally is the front end messaging. So anything I would say on social media, hey, who wants to get my free masterclass on having 10K weeks, months, and days? It's 2 parts. Part 1, build the foundation. Part 2 is we're gonna blah, 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 right? Anything that I say is front end messaging because it sells my front end offer. And then anything from the front end that sells the back end is called the back end messaging. And you need both types of messaging, right? A lot of people don't understand the importance of both. A lot of people are so hooked on social media and they only see other people's social media presence. They don't realize that the coaches and healers who really blow up are ones who perfect their back-end messaging, their back-end process, the process between the live event or some sort of front-end offer and then the back-end offer. There's some messaging in between the two that is really, really, really excellent and great. That is the key, and a lot of people don't even see the importance of that, let alone put in effort to develop it, right? I put in tons of effort into that, and I help my clients with that. And then I help my clients use Facebook or other platforms to get into, and including in person. Some of my clients only do in-person stuff. That it does work. Okay, so you use any platform you have, including in person, to get them into the front end. Then on the front end, you have the messaging for the back end. And the messaging has to be congruent. You want to be able to like do a campaign, which means over time you have consistency in your messaging, and that you kind of even reveal more and more and more depth of the message as you go on. Because people in your audience are tuning in over time. They're tuning in, they're listening. They don't necessarily want to buy from you the first time they see you, but they're listening. And then the next time they tune in, they might get a little bit more. And the next time they might get a little bit more. If you have consistency in your messaging and you understand how to create a campaign, then there's more depth over time. Or at least there's consistency over time where people get the depth because they've seen it a bunch of times and they get depth over time. And then they want to work with you, okay? So those are two types of messaging, and finding the consistency of those truths. There's certain truths that we say, and there's certain truths that we don't have to say, right? Like, there's a lot of truth in the world right now, and everything is relative. All truths are relative. It really isn't such a thing as a absolute truth in my perspective, okay? The only absolute truth is that there is no absolute truth. Right? And so that means that everything is relative. Things exist subjectively. Things exist in relation to other things, but not objectively. That's my opinion. Which means that we have a blank slate that we get to build on. We get to build our message from a blank canvas, and we get to construct the truths that we want to use and put them together in a sequential way to build a model of something. We want to build a model of the universe, a model of consciousness, a model of how things work. Just like earlier when I told you that for light workers and heart-centered entrepreneurs, if we're sensitive, our business and our soul's mission, if they're going in different directions, then we will lose energy for our business and we will feel like we're dragging our feet on it, but really we're just prioritizing our soul's mission. And most likely we're going to do that every single time. But if we align them, then we'll have energy for both. Whenever you have energy for one, you have the energy for the other. It allows you to put in enormous energy without ever feeling split. And that allows us to grow our business consistently over time. And so getting that alignment right is important. And the reason I say that, that's a model of consciousness, a model of how things work that I have constructed based on my knowledge of how things work. And so it's part of my message, right? And so that message resonates with my audience usually because they're like, oh, that makes sense. You need to have something similar. You need to have a similar way of taking truths and constructing them that moves people into your process. It gets them aligned with your vision, right? And then they're going to be open to other things that you suggest. And if your offer is a way of accomplishing this method, then they will buy it, right? My first offer ever was only about alignment. All I did was help people align their business to their soul's calling. And then I started adding in the marketing and the sales and all the other things too. And now I do all of it. But for example, my offer does help people with this alignment. So that's why the alignment is part of my message, blah, blah, blah. I think you get it, okay? So you need to have a message that resonates when people are consuming your stuff where they're like, oh, there's a model. They've taken truths and put them together in a way that builds a premise, it builds a model of reality, and that I like that model, I want to be part of it, I think I can get results based on that model. That's how you do it. That's the only way to do it. Leaders do that. Leaders construct models. They use truth to construct models. And then the people that you're leading resonate and they want to be part of that model of reality. Okay, then you can provide them a vehicle to traverse the model, to journey across the model to the result. Okay, and that's what your program is. So messaging is the art of creating this. It's creating the message from the front end to the back end, but it's also creating it from the platforms to the front end. Those are the two types of messaging that you need. Okay? And so this is my foundational video. The next part, I'm gonna go into how to really put all the pieces together. There's 4 new steps that I wanna show you in the next video. Okay, and I can't wait for you to experience it. If you wish to receive more like this, you can subscribe and follow and all those things. And I can't wait to work with you again in the future. Talk to you soon.